Hey, Brent coming at you. Every once in a while we get those albums where one or two tracks really stand out to you. This album that I'm going to review tonight actually had 3 of those tracks, and each one of them completely blew me away. The group is called Octavarium, and it consists of one gentleman from Sweden, and his name is Mattias Ohlsson. This is a very prog rock album, and it is all written by Mattias Ohlsson himself. He started this moniker of Octavarium, which is actually, you probably all know Dream Theater by the same album title. Started in 2017, and they have since released 3 albums. The first being in 2007 called The Road, the second being Beyond the Horizon, and lastly Out of Time, which the latter 2 I believe were released this year. If you haven't checked them out on his Bandcamp account, I will leave a link below. You guys, actually, you need to check them out. I'm not telling you should, you need to, because they are that good. I hope to do in the new year some more reviews on those 3 albums that I mentioned. One other final note I have to say to this before I really get in depth into the songwriting and how I feel about it is this one was also produced and mastered, Eric Gillette from the Neal Morse Band plays some guitar and keyboards on this album. I'm not sure to what he contributes, but he also mixed the vocals and he mastered the album, which he did for an absolutely breathtaking job. This album sounds just as good as anything that you would, go to the local store and buy. It's very, very well done and very professional sounding. Alright, it's a concept album, of course, and the album starts off with a little kind of an interlude to kind of set the story, and it is called The Bridge, and it's, like I said, it's hypnotic, and it makes us, the listeners, get into the ambience and the feel of the story. The first proper song is called Futuristic Overture, and it's got some very, very heavy architecture. It's very riff driven. It does resemble a lot of early Dream Theater, some Symphony X, and it has very, very few subtle metal influence as well. The guitar solo at 328 is magnificent. I'm not sure if it's Eric Gillette or if it's actually Mattias Ohlsson, but it's got the emotional feel of John Petrucci, definitely. Or even Eric Gillette. You look at some of his stuff that he did on a couple Neal Morse albums, and as well as his own solo albums, you certainly won't regret hearing them, and you'll certainly pick up on their styles. They're both very similar in their playing. There's a wonderful crying guitar throughout the song. In fact, this album has a lot of deep emotional parts. After Futuristic Overture, we have Breakout, and this is the first song that immediately grabbed my attention. We have some very, very strong melodies, especially the little beautiful and complex piano melodies throughout. At the beginning especially is where you'll really notice it, and that's really the part I really appreciate of the song. It is a really powerful and effective, heavy and epic and twisted all at the same time. It's hard to find anything even remotely wrong with this song. As a critic and as I guess a music fan, we always kind of look for little things that we pick, but this song, like I said, from the beginning to the get-go, it blew me away. This song is just great. When we're nearing the end of the song, you really hear Ohlsson step in, pulling all the stops out and basically giving a jaw-dropping instrumental section, which I think everybody should appreciate and everybody should hear. There's also something vaguely chaotic about this song, which adds to the overall atmosphere of it as well. After Breakout, we have a song called Have Running Free. And at first, this feels like a kind of an uninspired song to me, but it's one of those songs that, with repeated lessons, it begins to grow on you, and that to me is another strong sign of a great musician and great musicianship as well, that convey that kind of feel to you that you may not necessarily catch the first couple times, and you'll just grow to learn and appreciate it, may even love the track. The melodies themselves are quite catchy. It's just not much to say here. It's a pretty basic song, but it's a nice catchy tune, having said all that. Follow Having Run Free, there's the title track of Dystopia. Now this is the second song that actually completely blew my mind when I heard it. One word is I can say about it would be fantastic. It's dynamic and brilliant all at the same time. There's some very emotive singing at the beginning where Ohllson's voice really sounds amazing, and I really started to dig his voice. I'm going to be honest with you, at first I wasn't sure of his voice, well, maybe not fitting the type of music, but once again, the more and more I listen to this album, it fits it to a T. At 6:05, there's an absolutely brilliant and blazing synthesizer solo, and this is definitely a magical creation of one of the best songs on the album. Coming up after Dystopia, we have Coming Home, and this is musically and lyrically one of the best on the album. It has a lot of high energy with emotion. It's got some great solos. There's plenty of power. There's a lot of melodically based parts of the song too. And it's just a great, solid, accessible song that I think everybody who's a music lover would enjoy. Next track, Whispers on the Wind, was probably the one that had the most impact on me. It's the album's soul ballad. It's very well done. It's very heartfelt and very emotional, and it sounds absolutely stunning. The guitar solo on this song is nothing but short to say it's amazing. And it, in my opinion, is the best song on the album. And it's not maybe the best representative of the album, but yeah, wow. You're gonna just have to hear it for yourself. I can't do it justice just by trying to explain how wonderful a song it is. You just have to listen for it. And after Whispers on the Wind, we have Utopia. Now this to me is the weakest song on the album. It's really lacked a lot of the emotion that the rest of the album has, and I'm not going to say much more on that. It's not a horribly bad song, because I would never say that, because it isn't. It's in its own right, it's okay. There's not much to it for me, and I would have to say it's the weakest. Coming up after Utopia is a song called This Is the End. And this is a very laid back and somber song. It has a slight feel of Transatlantic's Is This Really Happening from the Whirlwind album. It repeats This Is the End, This Is the End, my friend, quite consecutively, and gets into kind of a groove. And that's really why it reminds me so much of that song from, like I said, The Whirlwind. It also reminds me, for some reason too, this whole album reminds me a lot of Scenes from a Memory, Metropolis 2, the Dream Theater album as well. After that, we have the last song, which is called World Reborn. And the song greatly surprised me too. It didn't have quite the impact as the three mentioned songs prior, but it is very complex, and it is structured into very technical and multiple movements. The flow is great, and when it ends after the 16 minutes, you almost wonder, the time just goes by. It almost stops, like it just, wow. You know, the song starts off with a very gentle piano structure, and then it moves into a little bit more of a darker, more metallic middle section. And then it, after some great solos, it moves on to an atmospheric section and acts as a prelude to the finale of the story. And all in all, it's an epic masterpiece, that song, as the album is too. Now, needless to say, the final thoughts on this album are the production is top notch. You know, way to go Eric Gillette, and way to go Mattias for getting contact with Eric Gillette. I think he's got a really gift at doing stuff like this. The performances are nothing short but brilliant on this album, and it's one of those albums that the more you listen to and the more elements you will hear worth delving into, which in turn makes you want to go back and listen to it again. I highly recommend this album, and I'm going to give it an A-. Mattias, you've done an awesome job. I am really going to dive into your other three previous albums, and I hope in the new year I will get some more reviews up on them. Job well done, my friend. Thank you for contacting me to review this material of yours. I really think it's great. It's definitely going to be one of my favorites of the year. And that's all I've got to say, you know. Keep up the good work, my friend. Good night.